In this video, we're going to be looking at conditional statements. Conditional statements make up the heart of our game logic. So our programming logic, where we have the program ask questions and take actions based on the answers it gets to those questions. That's how we build up all the logic, and the computer knows what to do when different events happen. So we'll start with our basic if statement. So we start with the word if, and then we need some parentheses, and inside the parentheses we put our condition. Now our condition has to be something the computer can evaluate as true or false. So it has to be a yes, no, true, false kind of a question that we give it. So in this case we're going to say if ammo is greater than 0. That's our condition. If ammo is greater than 0, this is either true or false. Ammo is either going to be greater than 0 or it's going to be 0 or less. So that's our condition. Underneath the if statement, we do an open and then a closing curly bracket. And again, these curly brackets just tell the computer to group different lines together. So what I'm telling it here is, if this condition is true, I want it to do any and all commands that are in between this curly bracket and this one. So that's what curly brackets are used for, just to kind of group lines of code together. Let's put a little, and let's put our command we want it to execute in here. So we're going to tell it to print I have ammo. So what's going to happen here, we have an if statement. So if statements will run the commands below them if the condition is true. So if this condition, ammo greater than 0, is true, it will do this. Okay? If it's not true, so if condition is not true, then it will skip the commands. Right, so it just skips over this. If ammo is less than or equal to 0, then it skips this and goes on to whatever's below. So let's save this and test it out. Alright, so over here in our editor, if we select our cube, which has the file attached to it, we can see all of its variables over here and their current values. So when I first start running this, ammo is right now equal to 100. So 100 greater than 0 is a true statement. Since this is a true condition, it will print I have ammo. So let's test it out and see if that does what we think it should. Here it is. It says I have ammo in my console. And you notice over here that the number keeps jumping up bigger. That's because every time it prints this, it adds to this number. So this is in our update function. Every frame it is printing this to us. Now, if you go up here into your inspector where you see your variables, you can actually change the values of these while you're playing your program, and you can see what happens. So let's change ammo to 0. Once I turn the ammo to 0, you see now that it no longer is printing I have ammo. It stopped. That number is no longer going up. Okay? If I change ammo back up above 0, now the number is going up, so it's printing it. So it's kind of like a light switch. If this is true, then the light's on and we do what's here. If this is false, it's like the switch is off and it's not doing anything. Alright, so that's a basic if statement. Now we know what happens if it's true. If it's false, it skips. But what if we want it to do one thing, like print I have ammo, if it's true, but if ammo is not greater than 0, we want it to do something different. So instead of typing in a whole new if statement, we can do what's called an else statement. So right at the end of the commands for the if statement, right under the sort of curly bracket, we can type in the word else, and then it needs its own little grouping of commands here with the curly brackets. And now if I have it do something here, such as print no more ammo, because my ammo is now 0 or less, so I have no more ammo. Now what will happen here is if this condition is true, it does what's under the if statement. If ammo greater than 0 is false, it will see this else statement and it will do what's here. So the else statement, let's put a note here, else will run its commands if the condition is false. Alright, so let's test this out. Save it. Let's come back over here and clear out our console. Alright, we start this running. It says I have ammo. It's doing that every frame. We can see the number coming up here. Ammo is greater than 0. It's at 100. So if I go in here now and change it to 0, you'll notice as soon as I changed it to 0, it stopped printing I have ammo and it started printing no more ammo. If I move ammo back up above 0, it starts printing I have ammo, stops printing no more ammo. So I can just have that keep flipping back and forth between the two, and it's just like flipping a switch. So if the condition is true in the if statement, it does the commands that are under the if statement. If you use an else statement, it will do the commands in there if the condition is false. And that's your basic if statement. Now we can do what are called compound conditional statements if there's more than one condition we want to test for. So right now we're just testing one condition, ammo greater than 0. But let's say we have two conditions we want to test. So I can say if ammo is greater than 0, and, so two and signs together, that's on the 7 key of your keyboard, two and signs together means and I can now test a second condition, let's say is alive. Now is alive is our Boolean variable that has a true or a false in it, so we don't have to say is alive equals true here, we can just say is alive. Is alive will literally be true or false. So it'll put a true-false value here. An if statement and its condition needs a true or a false. So we need to be able to have everything be true or false here. And then we can put some instructions underneath. So now we can print I am alive and have ammo. Alright, so what's going to happen here? Let's do a little comment. So this uses the and, so two and signs together means and to the computer. If we use and between two conditions, then both conditions have to be true. So both conditions need to be true for the commands to run. So if I have ammo, so if ammo greater than 0 and is alive is true, then we're going to do this. Let's test it out here. So we'll go over, clear out our console. We'll run it. And right now it says I am alive and have ammo. That is printing because ammo is greater than 0 and we are alive. Now if I uncheck the is alive box here, this will become false. So now is alive is false. So ammo greater than 0 is true, is alive is false, and it is no longer printing. So the number's not changing here, it's no longer printing. If I check it here, it starts printing again. If I turn ammo to 0, again it stops printing I'm alive and have ammo because now I am alive but I don't have any ammo. So both conditions have to be true for it to run its commands. That is the compound conditional statement using and. We have one more compound statement that we can write. So this time we're going to say if ammo greater than 0, or we want to ask an or question instead of an and question. To say or, we need two of our pipe symbols next to each other. The pipe symbol is on the right side of your keyboard. It's right underneath the delete key, above your enter key. It's on the same key with the backwards leaning slash. You just have to push shift and hit that button twice to get two of these up and down characters, and these are known as pipe symbols. So two of those together means or. So now I'm saying if ammo is greater than 0 or is alive. And we'll put a little group here for our instructions, and this time we'll print I am alive or I have ammo. Alright, so in this case, the two pipe symbols together means or to the computer. And in this case, only one condition has to be true. And one condition has to be true for the commands to run. So let's test that out here a little bit and see what happens. So we're going to save it. We'll come back over here, clear our console, and run our program. So right here it says I am alive or I have ammo. That is printing. Ammo is 100, so the first condition is true, and is alive is true, so the second condition is true. Now if I uncheck this one and make is alive false, you'll notice that it still is printing I'm alive or I have ammo, because I'm no longer alive but I do have ammo. So one of the conditions is true. If only one of these conditions is true, it still does the instructions underneath. If both of them become false, then it will stop printing I'm alive or have ammo, because now both of them are false. So if both are false, it will not run it. If one of them is true, then it will. So if I make myself alive again, now it's printing again because one of the conditions is true. So now we've taken a look at our conditional statements. We have our basic if statements and we have compound if statements, and we can get real complex with these. We can put ands and ors together in the same if statement. We can string a bunch of these next to each other and test for very specific conditions in our game. And these are the building blocks of our game logic. And you'll see how this starts to work when we start a game example. So right now we have covered how to declare variables and how to assign values to them. You've learned how to do the math in here, and you've learned about conditional statements. There's one more topic we have to cover before we can get into our first game example, and that is functions, how to make functions and how to use functions in your game. So that will be the topic of our next video.